The most accurate prediction for the fight Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou.
Okay, boys, I've already spoken to both of you. You know what I expect. Stay professional, obey my commands, and most of all, protect yourself at all times, boys. Good luck to you both.
Let's analyze the boxing fight, and this time let's talk about a fight that has been intriguing all boxing and MMA fans for a long time. Francis Ngannou left the main promotion of the world in order to raise his earnings, as he declares. He said that in boxing he would only be interested in a fight against Tyson Fury. Hello fighters, with you channel MMA predictions. In this video I will give a prediction for potentially one of the high-profile fights of the near future, Francis Ngannou against Tyson Fury. But before starting this video, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and like it so that as many people as possible can see this issue. As we know, Francis recently left the company in which he spent most of his fights, and he commented on his departure simply. Ngannou said that he was not satisfied with the policy of the main promotion and also his fee, and therefore he was looking for a new field for himself. But a sufficient amount of time has passed since the day Ngannou left the organization, but he has not yet been able to find a replacement for it. Every promotion that tried to lure the Cameroonian to himself failed in negotiations. Francis rejected almost everyone, and recently he again received an offer to play in the One Championship. But as expected, Francis's team again did not like something, and in the end they are again at a broken trough. After the head of the promotion, One commented, stating that they offered the Cameroonian a guaranteed $20 million, but Ngannou also had his own wishes in the form of including himself on the board of directors and other nonsense carried by Francis in the negotiations. As a result, the One also refused to cooperate with Francis, and now he can only wait for a duel with Tyson Fury. This is the only high-profile fight for both athletes at the moment. As Ngannou himself states, boxing is his dream since childhood, and in the near future this fight may take place. Now Fury is reaping the fruits of his legacy. He can be said to have experienced a lot: depression, problems with excess weight, but in the end he became the most successful boxer in recent times. And just recently he completed his sports career, but at the same time he made it clear that he would accept fights that would enrich him with great joy. And the fight against the UFC heavyweight champion should give more than ever the motivation to get out of bed and go for a run. Both fighters have their own fan base. Both are great in their field. One in boxing killed everyone he could. The second defended his heavyweight title several times in the best league in the world. I think this fight will not be a problem to promote, and therefore let's slowly move on to the analysis of this truly legendary fight. For Ngannou it will be a new experience, and also Fury will box for the first time with a mixed style fighter. In general, we will have something to talk about. Percussive style. Well, the first person we will start with will be a newcomer to this business, Francis Ngannou. The Cameroonian is an MMA fighter, and what took place there is not a fact that it will work here, since, unlike MMA, in boxing there are only punches, without long clinches where you can take a breath, without wrestling, which Ngannou has been using lately. What can be said about his boxing? So he does not have such a technique. He just rushes at his opponent like a tank and tries to chop in the first rounds. He copes with fighters like Jairzinho Rozenstruik, but as soon as a more skilled drummer named Cyril Gane comes out against him, Francis begins to have problems. Let's move on to Tyson's skills, and here I can only clap everyone I can. He interrupted Deontay Wilder, Derek Chisora, Dylan White. Maybe the last two names are not particularly cool, but at the time of the fight with Fury they were quoted as dangerous contenders. But this did not stop Tyson. He could say he interrupted everyone and defended his belt. Fury has been in this sport for a long time, and it's not just that people consider him the favorites, since he, as I said, opposed the elite opposition of boxing and who was beaten by Ngannou. He did not even make his debut. Tyson is a technical boxer and will only act carefully. Of course, Ngannou is the opposite of Tyson. Perhaps he will be able to get the American's jaw with his mallets, but you need to try hard, since hitting Fury's jaw is also not an easy task. And of course, I will choose Tyson for the favorites in my hands, who is literally better than Francis in everything. Every aspect of boxing can be safely given to him. Clinch. And of course, if we analyze boxing, then instead of wrestling, we will have a not quite spectacular clinch. And this time we will start with Tyson, who, oddly enough, shows an excellent level because his anthropometry is not quite suitable for close work. But at the same time, this does not prevent him from avoiding blows with his hands down and at the same time answering twice as hard. This is what I described close combat. As for the clinch, I didn't notice such work there. He presses the opponent to him and waits for the referee to separate them. But his work at close range is something with something. Find me another similar athlete who, with his tall stature, worked so competently at such a short distance and at the same time looked better than his opponent there. Now let's move on to the close range skills of Francis Ngannou. I also won't say anything significant about him. We haven't seen him in boxing and don't know how he works in close combat in MMA due to his mass. He controlled his opponents near the cage for several minutes. Perhaps this plus will help the Cameroonian in this fight. He can, due to his natural strength, exhaust the Briton and then start working on the game plan. Francis cannot win here due to his technique. It is unlikely that he will be able to beat the smarter Fury. He can play on cunning, surprise. He needs to look for loopholes, and in this case he has a chance to win. Naturally, in the clinch, Tyson, who showed himself at the highest level, will lead the favorites by a huge margin, and Francis has not yet been seen as a cool melee fighter. Cardio spirit. As for endurance, Francis has never been good in this aspect. In MMA fights, if the fight went into deep waters, Ngannou began to literally look for an oxygen mask, and this is MMA. And in boxing, the pace is much more serious, and what will happen to the Cameroonian when he realizes that even more strength is needed in boxing? I don't know. Let's move on to Fury, who is an owl better than his counterpart. He has gone through real hacks more than once and won them, which is worth the first fight between Wilder and Fury when Tyson set the pace for the whole fight and did not even think to stop it, and therefore, again, Fury will be considered favorites. As for the spirit, here I will put equality, since both fighters go out to fight each other only for a good check. And no matter how many times Ngannou said in an interview that money had nothing to do with it, believe me, what else does it have to do with it? Forecast. And of course, Tyson will come out the winner of this fight. He will destroy Francis throughout the fight, and towards the end, when he finally gets tired, he will just score him near the ropes.